Well, I look at gold and silver quite differently. Gold is a currency to me. Gold is money. Gold's the granddaddy of all money, and I think that gold should be in everyone's portfolio. Silver is a different animal altogether. Silver is a very, very misunderstood metal. Silver, in my opinion, is a strategic metal. It is precious, of course, we know that, but I don't think it's money. Some people do, and they put it in the same camp as gold. And silver kind of trades with gold. It's kind of hard to foresee that, silver would go up, when gold goes down, despite today, which we have an odd day where, at last I checked, gold was down $10 an ounce and silver's up 10 cents an ounce, which is a little bit unusual. But for the most part, both metals do kind of trade the same. And then the ratio of, 70 some odd to 1 has kind of stuck around for, 30 some odd years. My thesis is that as people wake up to the supply demand fundamentals of silver and realize that it is a strategic metal and realize it's so critical in everything that we do as a human race, and we can get into some pretty interesting numbers if you wish. My view was that silver would hit its old high again, which was $50 an ounce. It took 10 years to do it. I didn't think it was going to take 10 years, but I put the company together when silver was trading about $5, and it did hit 50, but I didn't expect silver was going to go from 50 to 13, over the next 5 or 6 years. That was pretty shocking. It's very paper driven. It's very headline driven. Money started coming out of the mining sector, and the demand for the metal continued to be extremely strong during those years when the price was falling. So demand really didn't matter much. It was more of a financially driven price decline. A lot of money was getting sucked up, by the big tech companies and, the NASDAQ, boom and all that. And the mining sector, got ignored, despite my views. I'm only one voice, but, I do think that we're going to see ratio collapse. I think, we're mining at about an 8-to-1 ratio. So that means for every 1 ounce of gold worldwide, we're only mining 8 ounces of silver, which, you think about it, it's a pretty shocking stat. Tesla, Apple, whatever the case may be, the money is, there's 6,000 hedge funds in the world that trade these markets like crazy, and probably about 85 or 90% of trading that occurs around the world is all computer driven, by algorithms. And these algos look for headlines, and they, whether it's a Trump tweet or whether it's, whatever the case may be, these headlines move markets. I've not seen yet a headline that says, Samsung can't produce their cell phones because they can't get silver. Right? If that headline ever happened, then silver would go to $100 within seconds. Well, not quite seconds, but pretty quickly, because all the hedge funds would start driving into silver. And, interestingly enough, because of the Biden win and the new Green Deal coming, supposedly, there's now talk, and I've seen some of the big banks say, the next administration is going to be very friendly to silver because of solar panel demand, electric vehicle demand. So possibly what we could see, at least I'm hoping we're going to see, silver starting to show up in the headlines, and people will actually break the relationship between gold and silver, right? And look at silver as actually a unique metal. It's not gold. It's actually a very critical component in everything that we want to do as a human race to go green. That story is not really out there in the mainstream. People talk about lithium, of course, and other elements, rare earths in some cases, but the silver story is just really not broadly talked about. When it does get talked about, that's what I think is going to drive the money into the silver market, get us up to triple digits. And I think that ratio will probably drop to its normal ratio of 16-to-1. It could go lower. for the last 4 years, silver production has been dropping. 2020 has been a terrible year for silver production because of all the COVID situations. We had something like 50% or 55% of all silver mines shut down worldwide for over 2 months. Some of them were actually even shut down for 4 to 5 months. They're still not all back up and running 100%. Even First Majestic, we've got one mine that hasn't been able to get back up to its 100% level yet. So it might not be until next summer, because there's just so much, the workforce is just so badly affected that they just can't, we just don't have the manpower to bring in the necessary bodies to do the work that was historically done. So, it's going to be some time. So you've had 4 years of declining supply from the miners, and you've got two major industries: solar panels, which is just starting. We're about 10 years into that solar panel boom. The governments are pushing solar panels like crazy. In the U.S. government, at least the new U.S. government, the Chinese government, European governments, all over the world is pushing solar because it's perceived as the green energy, and that's a huge consumer of silver. Over 15% of the world supply of silver is going to solar panels right now. And you look at the auto sector, and the stats are pretty astounding. Like yourself, that governments around the world have started to talk about not allowing fuel combustion cars in their streets, and they want to have all I guess electric cars to be replaced, or to replace fuel combustion cars. Some cities have said 2030, others have said 2040, but whatever the number is, currently there's 1.4 billion automobiles sitting on the surface of the earth. There was 90 million, or 94 million actually, I think is the correct number, that of autos produced in 2019. Of those 94 million, only 2.4 million of those cars were electric vehicles. Electric vehicle consumes approximately 3 times more silver than a normal fuel combustion car. So if the governments have a goal of replacing all fuel combustion cars in 1 decade or 2 decades, electric cars, we're not producing enough electric cars to replace over 1 billion fuel combustion cars in 10 years. Yeah, it's impossible. So you need more electric cars being produced, and you need more raw materials to go into those cars to even accomplish those goals.